And moving on, India's wealth story is evolving, and with it, the appetite for global investing is growing rapidly. As outbound investments surge and the rupee remains under pressure, more Indian investors are looking beyond domestic markets for diversification and returns. But access, compliance, and trust have long been key barriers. Valura.Ai, a UAE-based AI-native investment platform, is now making its India debut. Even before its official launch, the platform has onboarded over 1,000 wealth advisors and built a 3,000 crore rupee pipeline. So what's driving this early traction, and can Valura truly simplify global investing for Indian HNIs? Joining me now to discuss this further is Priyesh Ranjan, the CEO of Valura.Ai. Priyesh, thank you so much for joining us on the show today. You've onboarded 1,000 odd wealth advisors even before you've launched, right? Now, that's a signal of what's to come. What gap in India's wealth ecosystem are you sort of solving for that existing platforms haven't been able to address?
Hi, very good evening to you and your audience, and thank you very much for having me here. Look, I've been in this business for 20 years, mostly in Dubai, and one of the questions that me and the team always kept facing from Indian customers or Indian consumers was, how do we invest in global markets, equities, bonds, ETFs, so on and so forth? And unfortunately, the regulatory constraints and the absence of a platform was a big detriment, and people were not able to get that opportunity to make those investments. So the demand was always there. The infrastructure wasn't. And therefore, we decided we are going to only solve these three things when we go to India. We are already existing in Dubai, and we have become the largest wealth tech platform in the UAE. And when we went to India and drafted our India strategy, we looked at three fundamentally broken things to solve. One was access. So the global investing is in its nascent stage, and there are a few players who have tried to solve it, but the solution is mostly around stocks. So there is nobody who has solved bonds, ETFs, structured products, international mutual funds, or even private equity funds, hedge funds from outside. So that's, or a Sharia-compliant, let's say, instrument, so to say. So the access was missing. We went ahead. We had a good tailwind in Dubai. We used that, and we solved that and created a platform which could give an Indian an access. The second problem we saw was that of safety. So in Indian investors, money was being taken and sent to the US or Europe to offer international equities. Now that's a little, that goes into a domain where an Indian investor doesn't feel very comfortable doing that. When India launched, or the government launched the GIFT City, and it expanded it to allow people like people to open broker-dealer licenses, etc. That gave us an opportunity to ensure that we build a platform which is loaded with all kinds of instruments that Indians have been asking for quite some time, and it is domiciled in India. So essentially, the safety angle, where an Indian's money as well as his assets sits in the country and looked after by an Indian authority, was something that is something that we solved. And the last was the convenience. No matter what you say, the entire issues around KYC, LRS, and TCS, your tax at source, etc., was very tedious. So we have solved all of those, and today we can proudly claim that today we are able to do the KYC within 5 minutes.
Sure.
We finish LRS within hours, and the TCS is solved within weeks. So that whole convenience has also been solved. So those are the three pillars on which Valura.Ai has created a solution for the Indian investors.
Absolutely. And you've sort of laid that out very neatly for us. But if you could quickly tell us, India's outbound investments are clearly rising, right? Access has always been fragmented. So how does your GIFT City structure change the game in terms of compliance, taxation, and ease of investing for Indian HNIs and advisors?
So that's a brilliant, and this is an evolving topic, and I must give a lot of best wishes to the Indian government for being flexible, for working on the GIFT City. There has been a lot of regulatory clarity. A lot needs to still be done. We are IFSCA-regulated. I'm very happy to say that the regulatory clarity makes sure that an investor can have a peaceful investment sitting in GIFT City, monitored by IFSC. The tax efficiency is also, I think we are 90% there. While the government can do a little bit by reducing the TCS, but at least the clarity is there. And I think with passage of time, with passing years, we will see the TCS coming down. But as far as clarity on the taxation is there, that also has been solved very well by GIFT City. And I think for an investor, this is transformational, because now something that they have been looking at, let's say an investment in Europe or a Japanese exposure. For corporates, for that matter, they have been wanting to invest in securities to hedge their treasury, their cash management, and have not been able to do it. And cannot take positions in equity can be solved here.
Yeah, and speaking of the securities, right, you're offering access to over 100,000 global securities, equities, pre-IPO, and even Sharia-compliant products, right? So which segments are you seeing the strongest demand from Indian investors today?
Yeah, so the fixed income bonds has been an underserved sector. People have not had the opportunity. Unfortunately, India doesn't have a bond market. And when you get bonds which can yield 10, 11, 12%, on US dollar terms, I think that makes for a very alluring opportunity for Indian investors. Pre-IPO opportunities are seeing crazy demand, and the 3,000 crore does not even account for it. And we are soon be launching a very, very critical partnership with one of the largest pre-IPO providers, which is a Morgan Stanley subsidiary, and we'll be doing a roadshow. We are seeing phenomenal demand on Perplexity, Anthropic, SpaceX, Polymarket, and so on and so forth. And last but not the least, the Sharia-compliant product. I mean, the kind of response that we are seeing from people for Sharia-compliant mutual funds, Sharia-compliant bonds, etc., is phenomenal.
Absolutely. And you've sort of built this 3,000 crore rupee pipeline already, right? How much of this do you realistically expect to convert over the next 12 to 18 months? And what kind of revenue visibility does that sort of give you in a market like India?
Yeah, so 3,000 crore we should be able to cross very easily because we've just gotten started. And this is just coming from the partners. We have also started reaching out on our own, and we are reaching out to the fund managers. And the response, like I said, the pre-IPO itself could be a 1,000 crore instrument for us. We are looking at closing, we want to cross approximately 5,000 crore. That's the target, internal target we have taken in the first 12 months. And we do not see a reason why we will not be able to pull it off. The tech is there, it's proven, the partnerships are there. And the entire life cycle is available to the investors, which are tested. It's doing phenomenally well in UAE, and we have been doing well there. So we are looking at an AUM of around 5,000 crores that should give a visibility of 60 to 70, let's say 70, 75 crores of revenue in the first year of operations.
All right, that's quite a big target in your first year of operations itself. And you are a bootstrap company, and you're entering a competitive space, right, with global players and domestic wealth platforms. So what sort of keeps you ahead of competition?
Yeah, so we are a tech company, and we have been awarded. We are an NVIDIA Inception program. We have been adjudged as the top 50 startup in the fintech domain globally by Money 2020. So we have had our fair share of success in the UAE. So that's one moat. The other one is the partnership that we have built. It's easy to go and sell equities, but to be able to build partnerships where you can make available private equity funds, hedge funds, etc., bonds, Sharia compliant, mutual fund, all these are big partnerships that we have evolved over the last 2.5 years. And then most importantly, licenses. So you'll see a lot of fintech companies, but you'll not see a lot of fintech companies who have the advisory strength like we do. We have around 30 advisors and all the necessary license to satisfy the entire journey of Absolutely. An investor, right from inception up till monitoring and hedging.
Absolutely. All right, Priyesh. Thank you so much for taking time out and being here with us on Startup Street. And we'll catch up with you once, you start your India journey.